Hello guys, in this video I've got an absolutely brilliant race to show you, and in my opinion it highlights just how good sim racing can be on the PlayStation 5. So as you can see, we're at the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit, and tonight I'm taking part in my first league race on Assetto Corsa Competizione on the PlayStation 5 as part of the Formula Racing League's Taco Tuesday series. So we've got a 25 car grid for this race then. It's going to be 90 minutes long, and we're racing in Tier 1. There are two tiers in Formula Racing League's Tuesday series. I will put a link in the description of the video if you want to find out a little bit more about the league and the other series they have to offer as well. So heading out to begin our qualifying session then, and I'm not entirely sure what to expect because I haven't raced with any of these other drivers before. I know I can be pretty quick though, so I'm expecting to be fairly near the front of the pack, but I do know that there are a lot of competitive drivers in this field, and if I don't hook up a lap, I could be finding myself quite far down the order. Coming around the final corner then to complete flying lap number 1, using all the track on the outside, and we get the pit limiter warning there, another bug in the game. So we cross the line to go first provisionally, and then we're immediately beaten by Michael Races, who goes 2.5 tenths quicker. So not a bad first lap, but there's definitely going to be a little bit more time there. The track conditions aren't quite optimum just yet, so the session is only going to get quicker as the time goes on. So you can see we've dropped down to 3rd place now. Ben Gallagher just going ahead by about 1.5 tenths, but we are 4 tenths up as we go full commitment through the chicane, making sure we don't fly off those horrible inside curbs, and then heading up to the line, and we're going to gain 4 tenths on our previous time, and we take provisionals first once again, so just under 2 tenths ahead of P2. So after heading back to the pits and changing tyres for another couple of runs, you can see Michael Races has jumped back into the lead as we go full commitment through the final chicane, almost getting out on the grass there. Round the final corner, you can see we're nearly 2 tenths up on our previous time, and then we're going to head across the line and take first place back once again. So that lap was good enough for pole. Michael did improve his time a little bit and finished just 0.03 behind, with Ben Gallagher 2 tenths back in 3rd. But you can see how close the field is, even down to 19th place, just 1.5 seconds separating the field. So it's an extremely competitive bunch of drivers, and anything can happen in the race. So it's a full formation lap with this league, and I haven't really warmed the tyres up as much as I would have liked on the formation lap. So we've got a 43 mph limit then as we head up to the line before we get the green lights. I'm using quite a high downforce setup today because there was a chance it was going to rain, but you can see at the start Michael gets an absolute stonking start, that McLaren zooming off in a straight line, and you can see we've got 2 Audis then coming up behind us very, very quickly indeed. We're going to keep over to the right hand side so we get the inside for turn 1, but unfortunately that means that we're going to have the outside for turn 2, and you can see the Audi there of Jetpacker has been able to get around the outside and up into 2nd place. So we're down to 3rd now, and we're just going to have to cover off Ben Gallagher as we head through the tight left-hander and then the right-hander, making sure we don't run too wide here because you can get a track warning, corner cut penalty, and there we go then. So we've got through the first couple of turns without too much drama, but we have dropped down to 3rd place unfortunately, so not the start we would have liked. In an ideal world, I would have liked to come out of turn 1 in 1st place and then try to build a gap to all the cars behind, but it's not going to be that way, and there's still 89 minutes left in this race, so it's a very long one, 90 minutes left, and there are 2 pit stops required. So the strategy that I was planning to do for this race was to pit around about the halfway mark and take new tyres on, and then save the final pit stop for essentially as late as possible in the race, and just do a quick splash and dash, no change of tyres, and then that just gives a little bit of flexibility in case there's any rain towards the end of the race. So as we head towards the latter part of lap number 1 then, and you can see on the straight just how much I start to fall behind the 2 cars up ahead. So this is going to be quite a big problem in this race, as you'll come to see over the next couple of laps, because as much as I can set a good lap time, I just can't get anywhere near in the crucial areas for an overtake. So you can see I gain a lot of time through the chicane, through the final corner, and then look, as we get onto the start-finish straight, the cars ahead just drive away. Even though I'm in the slipstream, they're just getting further and further up ahead. And what this is going to mean is that no matter how close I am to the cars ahead, if I'm not, or if the cars ahead I should say, don't make any mistakes, I'm probably not going to be able to get past, because really going into turn 1 is the only real overtaking opportunity. And as you can see, they're much faster in a straight line, so no matter how close I am going through the final corner, I'm just not going to be close by the time we get to the braking zone. So jumping ahead onto lap number 4 then, and this is one of the areas of the track that I was gaining a lot of time on the cars up ahead. That extra downforce just giving me more grip in these fast corners. So heading on to the back straight then, and we are very close to the Audi up ahead, but once again you'll be able to see that we can't close that gap, so we're not going to be able to end up side by side on the straight at all. And going through the chicane, he just clips the kind of the sausage on that right hand side there, and that gives us an opportunity to get up the inside and move up into second place. But this is where I was at big risk. So he's obviously behind us now, but if you look in the mirror at the top of the screen, you'll be able to see just how quick he's able to close up on us. And this is what we're not able to do when we're behind someone. So he's able to go really, really close in the braking zone and make us go defensive. But when we're in that situation, we're absolutely nowhere near being able to do the same in return. It looks like though Ben Gallagher is starting to get involved in that battle behind and manages to get up the inside there and gains another position. So we've got Michael up ahead. He's now built a bit of a gap due to all the battling, and then we now have Ben Gallagher right behind us. Lap number 6 then, and we're still 1.5 seconds behind Michael Races. Coming through the Schumacher S, I just turned in a little bit early there and clip the gravel on the right hand side, and this means that Ben's going to be very, very close to us as we head through the left and right hander and onto the back straight, where crucially he's going to have a lot more top speed in the Audi, and then we get a horrible kick of oversteer using a bit too much inside curb there, and as you can see in the mirror, there's just nothing we can do. He's way faster than us in a straight line, and we're going to have to concede this position. We don't want to end up hitting that curb on the inside, because that could result in a spin or something far worse, hitting the wall and ending our race. We're just going to have to live with it for now and try to stick onto the back of him and see if we can catch up to Michael. But again, coming out of that final corner, it was just so frustrating. They were literally just driving away from me, and by the end of the straight you can see just how much time he's gained. And then the other Audi, he's actually been able to catch us kind of a little bit unaware there, but we were able to keep it on the outside around the hairpin, and then that does give us the inside line for the next corner. So we managed to hold on to third place, thankfully. I just didn't want to lose any more positions, but I was kind of in this situation where if I made any mistakes, then any cars behind me could pounce on it immediately, where the other way around, if a car ahead made a small mistake that resulted in, you know, just losing a little bit of speed on the straight, I still wasn't able to do anything. So it was a very, very frustrating position to be in. On to lap number 10 then, and you can see both myself and Ben Gallagher have got right up to the back of Michael Races now, both within a second of Michael Races and the lead of the race. Going into the final corner then, and you can see once again getting very close, and then the two cars ahead just starting to drive away now on the straight. We still have Jetpack Nebula behind us in the other Audi, just a half a second behind, so I still need to be wary of his presence there and make sure I don't do anything crazy. As you can see, Ben Gallagher goes for the inside then, and looks like he's not quite going to be able to do it on this lap, just going in a little bit too deep on the brakes. But you can see Michael Races has now run wide through the fast left-hander, and it looks like, oh no, he's just able to cover off the inside. As you can see, we now kind of got a bit distracted, and Jetpack Nebula is right behind us and putting pressure on us as well. So it's been a very exciting start to the race, 25 minutes in nearly, and still everything to play for between the top 5 cars. I'm kind of hoping that Ben and Michael up ahead start to slow each other down a bit too much and potentially give me a opportunity to get past. And as we go into the hairpin then, you can see that Ben does run a little bit wide, but he just manages to straighten up the exit of the corner and get a good exit up the hill. And that means that once again we're unable to keep up, but we are able to take a little bit more speed through the Schumacher S then, and heading up to the left-hander. Again, you can see through here we're able to go a little bit faster, but as soon as he gets that car pointed in a straight line, it just disappears. Goodbye, you know, nothing I can do. So I've said it several times already. It's extremely frustrating because I almost get held up in some of the corners, and then once I'm on a straight, they just drive away. So overall, I feel like I can do much faster laps than my position in the race is showing. End of lap number 12 then, and you can see Ben is side by side with Michael as we go through the kink in the back straight, and it looks like he's got that straight line speed advantage and is going to be in first place heading through the chicane then. And as we go through there, it looks like Michael's run just a little bit wide, getting two wheels onto the grass, and then again he's running a little bit wide through the final corner. This might just give us a little bit of an opportunity as we head towards 10-1. You can see we are as close as ever as we head towards the braking zone, but he just starts pulling it away from us a little bit, and you can see he's gone very, very late on the brakes just to cover that off a little bit, and we're not going to be able to do anything about it. So third place still for us, but it looks like now Ben is ahead of Michael. We might need to try to do something about that in this race, otherwise we could end up in a situation where we've been held up behind Michael and Ben's able to create a bit of a gap. So far in this race, you know, we're nearly a third of the way through, and the main goal is just to be there or thereabouts with the leaders at this point, until the pit stop start coming into play. As long as we are in, you know, a couple of seconds of the lead, then everything is to play for. Lap number 17 then, and you can see we've now started catching up to back markers that we need to overtake. So some of these have probably already pitted, but you can see this is now going to become very, very difficult to maintain a good pace. You can see they're having to take a narrow exit from the corner, and that just costs me a little bit of time. And then going into the hairpin, you can see that there's a Bentley and BMW up ahead, and they're both battling with each other. So the fact that they're battling with each other is going to slow us down a little bit. And again, where we are a little bit slower in a straight line, we're going to start catching them at really awkward times. So you can see they're just having to back off a little bit with the Bentley, and then going through the left-hander, you can see we catch up to the BMW on the exit, and unfortunately he kind of stops a little bit unexpectedly quickly there, and we nearly go into the back of him, but just about managed to avoid. But you can see now up ahead, now we've got through that traffic, the gap has really started to open up. So we're 4.5 seconds now behind Ben and 2.1 seconds behind Michael. So this is going to be quite a crucial part of the race because we've lost quite a bit of time. So we need to try to catch up back to Michael as quickly as possible so that we're still in with a chance of winning this race. End of lap number 20 then, and Ben pits from the lead of the race. 4.5 or 5 seconds ahead he was at this point. And then on lap number 22, Michael decides to take his pit stop. So we're going to do one more lap. You can see we've got 11 laps of fuel. One thing that I am another disadvantage of in this BMW is there is a bit of a fuel glitch. So you have to run the car very heavy compared to some of the other cars, and it won't even do a full hour on one tank of fuel unless you have a play around with the fuel map settings. Heading into the pit lane then, and we need to make sure that we activate the pit lane limiter in time, which we do before we hit that white line into the pit lane itself then. And you can see our pit box is quite early on, and we just need to make sure that I line the car up perfectly and don't overshoot it, but we kind of undershoot it a little bit, just have to do a little dab of throttle, but that is quicker than letting the mechanics push you into position. So it's going to be a 30-second stop then with a change of tyres and refuelling with 105 litres extra going into the car. Coming out of the pit lane and just trying to get my bearings, and you can see Michael Races goes past there, so we're pretty much about the same distance behind him as we were prior to the stops. but you can see Ben Gallagher, it looks like he's further up the road, so 6 seconds, maybe just a little bit more up the road, so he's been able to get a bit of an undercut, gaining a second or two during that pit stop. And you can see actually Michael races now, his tyres are up to temperature and we still have slightly cold tyres. He has just pulled a bit of a gap through the first couple of corners, so looks like we've probably lost a little bit during that set of stops, but we will have the freshest tyres as we head into the later stages of the race. I'm going to jump ahead onto lap number 31 then now, with just less than half an hour left to go in the race, and you can see we've caught up to the back of Michael Races, bridged that gap that we lost during the pit stops. Ben Gallagher is around about 9.5 seconds up the road now though, so he does have quite a big gap. He might be on a different strategy though, that's very possible, that he's got less fuel in the car. I don't need to add any more fuel into the car, but everyone does need to make 2 stops in this race, so both myself, Michael and Ben will need to do 1 more stop. I know that in my stop I won't need to change tyres or refuel the car, so it'll be a very quick in and out, and I won't lose much time. Obviously if the others do have to change tyres or refuel, then they will spend a little bit longer in the pit box. But chances are they won't change tyres, they'll probably only need to refuel a little bit, if anything. So the key here is to try not to get held up behind Michael Races too much, and really, to be honest, just try and put the pressure on him, see if we can force him into a mistake and potentially get past him and move up into second place. Jumping ahead another couple of laps then, and we're all over the back of Michael through the corners, but once again still unable to do anything on the straights and just can't get the car into a position to attempt an overtake. You can see as we're on the back straight, he just pulls away once again, and there's literally just nothing we can do. I'm just praying that the pressure I'm able to put on him will potentially force him to make an error. Going through the chicane, you can see we're taking a little bit more speed, and into the final corner we're getting very, very close to the back of him, but just watch the drive. He gets out of the final corner, and it just means we're just not close enough as we get into the braking zone heading into turn 1, and we're now losing around about half a second a lap, just being stuck behind and nothing we can do. Again, a couple of laps later, you can see the sky is now getting a little bit darker as we head into the evening, and once again right up the back of Michael as we go around the final corner, as Ben pits from the lead of the race. So he built his lead up to about 12 seconds now, so we were losing quite a bit of time just being in this battle with Michael. And again, we were a little bit closer this time, but we're just not close enough to go for a move. If I try to send it from that far back, it's only going to end in disaster. So again, we've just got to try to stick as close as possible, keep applying that pressure, and just hope that he might make a mistake. So after another couple of laps stuck behind Michael, I realised that he was just going to be going until the very last opportunity to make his pit stop. So we headed into the pit lane, see if we could do something different. This did put us at a slight disadvantage, because it would mean we'd have to do a lap with cold tyres that would then have to warm up, and you know, we're not getting fresh rubber, so there's not really much chance of an undercut. But this moment here is when I lost the race, essentially. So into the pit stop, we just overshot it a little bit, and watch how slow this is now. So you get pushed back, then up onto the jacks. And the other thing is, I put a litre of fuel in the car because I thought you'd had to do that to actually sort of register as a pit stop, but which cost me another 3 seconds up on the stands. But you can still make a pit stop and have it register as a pit stop without adding that litre of fuel. So another couple of seconds lost there. Didn't realise this at the time. It was only when looking back at some of the other footage of the race and seeing what others were doing. So coming out the pit lane though, we have come out ahead of Ben. So it seems like Ben had potentially a slower pit stop. Maybe he needed to add more fuel to the car, or maybe he was trying to add some fresh rubber and see if he could beat us on outright pace with a fresh set of tyres. But that is good news for us. We're up to second place. Ben is 9.5 seconds back, so even if he is on new rubber and is maybe a second a lap faster, he's not going to be able to bridge that gap unless we make any mistakes. So now all it is about is getting our head down, trying to drive as fast as possible. We know we've not had the best stop with messing up the pit entry, but we might still have a chance of jumping past Michael if Michael has any issues in the pit lane himself. So as expected, Michael left it right until the last moment to make his final stop, and as we head across the start finish line then to begin the final lap of the race, where is he going to come out? We've got 3 back markers up ahead, which is not going to help things at all. So you can see Michael's just exited the pit lane there, and he's just going through turn 1 now. So he's going to be on cold tyres that will take a little bit of warming up on this final lap of the race. But there's traffic up ahead, 3 cars between us and Michael in the lead of the race, so it's going to be very, very difficult. This is kind of like what the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix would have been like at the end of last year had the lap cars not been allowed to overtake, and Max would have had some traffic between himself and Hamilton. But either way, we're just going to have to try to push as hard as we can, coming through the left-hander then. We're flashing the headlights constantly, just making sure the back markers know that we are coming up, and you can see thankfully the BMW there giving us plenty of room, so thank you for that. So coming up on FRL Hutch up ahead as we head into the hairpin, and then we've got Rob just ahead of him again in a BMW, I think that is. We're gaining on Michael throughout the lap as he is bringing his tyres up to pressure, but it doesn't look like there's going to be any chance at this point of the race. It just looks like it's a little bit too late to do anything here, as Hutch very thankfully gets out of the way, and then just Rob left up ahead. You can see we're still gaining on Michael as we go through the fast corners onto the back straight then, but unless he has any kind of hiccup through the final chicane, I think it's going to be his win for the taking. Heading up the hill then, and we're going to just try to take as much speed as we can through, just to capitalise on anything if anything does happen. We go right up onto the back of the BMW here through the final corner then, but it's going to be Michael who crosses the line to win the race, and we finish just around about a second and a half behind. So pretty exciting end to the race, and yeah, I was just so disappointed with myself for that pit stop. I think if I'd been able to nail it and get in and out as quickly as possible, I think I might have just been able to undercut Michael and come out in the lead of the race. But even so, what an absolutely fantastic race. I really thoroughly enjoyed it, and I think it just really showcases how good sim racing can be on the PlayStation 5. Big shout out to Michael for a great battle. He's also on YouTube, Michael Races, check him out. But yeah, thanks for watching guys. Let me know if you've enjoyed this video and if you like seeing these kind of race report videos, especially these longer races. You know, do you want to see them longer, or would you rather see the highlights into a much shorter video? Let me know, and obviously if you do enjoy it, give it a thumbs up, and I will see you again in the next one.